Hi. I I've been looking at my computer and came up here very late. It's 4:16 Eastern Standard Time AM. It's the morning of January the 19th, 2017. We have a day before America has Donald Trump become her next president. To say that this to me is another date that may live in infamy is an understatement. And I certainly expected Hillary Clinton to be our next president. Well, I'm not going to rehash what I believe happened, although we lost America on November the 8th, 2016. You don't have to like it, but you might as well accept it. We lost America. But I know what you're thinking. Oh, that's just another guy who can't get over Hillary losing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you could think that, but it's actually much greater than that, quite honestly. The gravity of what we lost will come to affect every American that is making under, I'd say anywhere between 100 to, let's say you made about 300,000. Till you're into that price range, or income range, or there's another word for it, but you get my point. Tax bracket, maybe. Unless you're making $300,000 or more, I don't care if you're in love with Trump. I don't care if you're so much in love with Donald Trump that you want to kiss his lips. Gay, straight, man or woman, don't matter. I'm telling you, he isn't for you. You see, quite frankly, America was robbed, fooled, lied to, and outright robbed. Now, media, Donald Trump would have you believe was against him and yada, 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 all that fun stuff. It was also a lie. I'm not here to tick off more Trump supporters. Believe me, if I wanted to, I could easily do 10 times what you think I'm doing. No, it's not about that. This country is going to come to a very, very, very real deep and frightening realization that because of this electoral college, even the Trump supporters who thought they wanted you thought you wanted him, I tell you on January 19th, 2017, I tell you, you will come to regret it. I don't tell you that out of being vindictive. I'm telling you because I know things about that man. I kept trying to warn people. They didn't listen. Well, at any rate, we can't change 2 seconds ago. Now, pretty terrible thing I said. A new day of infamy. Another date that will live in infamy. Yeah. On the outset, sounds very partisan, but the problem is I would advise everyone that's living in America, frankly the globe or the world, if you're an atheist, become a believer of a higher power. If you're a person of faith, whether it's Jesus or whatever, whomever, I'm not cutting anybody's religion or non-religion down. I will say this. start praying. If you're non-religious, I mean, not religious, but spiritual. If you don't think God exists, I'd be praying that God exists, even if you don't believe in it. You see, because there's a whole lot of people that are going to have sticker shock. There are supposedly millions of Americans that want the Affordable Health Care Act or Obamacare repealed. What they don't know is it's going to affect them too. And here's the thing. If you have private insurance, all that stuff, before the Affordable Health Care Act, there were certain things that may have hurt you or helped you. But this law is the law of the land, and there are other things that the American public may or may not know about it. But there are other benefits that you now get, whether you know about it or not. Whether you're in private insurance, Obamacare, whatever. There are actually other great things that you're getting, even though you may not know it yet. And as far as the increase, okay, I didn't say it was perfect. I never did. But I can tell you this. If they repeal it, which I almost 100% sure they will, don't expect them to replace it like they keep saying. I mean, Donald Trump himself and Paul Ryan himself, they keep saying, oh yeah, we're going to replace it. Well, if you believe that, then you also believe you're going to win the Powerball 1,000,000 times in a row. I mean the jackpot, and be the sole winner 1,000,000 times in a row. You have a better chance at that happening than a Republican Congress and whatever Donald Trump really is actually replacing it with something that could work for us. Now, if Donald Trump played the biggest con game on America, maybe he also played it on the Republican Party. It may very well turn out that he's equally as liberal as Hillary Clinton. It may even turn out he's more liberal than Hillary Clinton. Keep in mind, he was friends with President and Hillary Clinton. Oh, you forgot that part. Yeah, that's all right. So he may yet actually be a good guy. Now, that being the case, let me just say this. If he causes us to get into a nuclear war, then the words I said just now about a date that will live in infamy, he could possibly be responsible for 7.5 billion people dying. Now, keep this in perspective, Hitler was the worst evil murderer, dictator in the history of the planet, as we know. I mean, as up to now, I should say, responsible for more than 100 million deaths. But Donald Trump can do billions more. And a lot of people say, he can't just start it. Well, guess what? Actually, he can. Actually, he can. Or he can retaliate if another country hits us. I'm not here to fear-mongle or whatever the word is, scare you to death or whatever. But you need to know, those of you who voted for him, what you put this nation, the jeopardy you put this nation, this world, yourself, your family in. And I'm not happy with you about that. But here's the thing. Let's say worst case scenario happens and every human being and animal and plant dies. I mean, let's be honest. Let's just come out and say it. Let's say the worst happens. We get blown to the kingdom come. You know, if you believe in God, and I'm not a proselytizer either, believe me. If you believe in God and afterlife, and you generally do right, there's nothing they can do to us. They can kill us. They can steal from us. They can take our health care that causes us to die or get sick and then die. Or they can take our money. They can do endless things. But they can't take our soul. And I believe in God. And as a matter of fact, I believe in Jesus Christ. Am I a Christian? I doubt it. I believe in Jesus. As far as the religious part of it, or the religion itself, no. No. Not really. Now you might say, well, how can you believe in God, but you don't believe in the Bible, or you don't go to church, whatever. I don't need a book to know the truth. Because I already know the truth. I love the Lord Jesus Christ. And who knows, maybe Jesus is every religion. Now I know you're probably like, what? Well, think about it. We're talking about the Lord thy God. Who's to say that God couldn't be in multiple physical form at the same time or at different times in history? How do we know that Jesus wasn't also Abraham or Allah or whatever the god or goddesses are? Now I understand in Hinduism I heard thousands of gods. Well, how do we know that that wasn't God multiple times? I mean, we're talking about an entity that created a universe, actually many more than one. I'm not here to debate whether God's real. I know God's real, but we won't get into that. What we will get into is I want you to start praying. I don't care what faith it is. Start praying, because if you asked me honestly, what are my real thoughts about Donald Trump? I almost don't want to say, but I've always been honest. I think he's going to hurt this country worse than this country's been hurt in possibly 300 years. And we ain't even 300 years old. All right, let's make it a little bit nicer than that. I would say he has the possibility, him and his cronies, you know what, let me take that word back. Him and his cabinet, associates, and what have you, have the potential to do more harm than the Depression and all recessions combined. What do I really think is going to happen? I think a lot of people are going to die as a result of his policies. A lot. I mean, we're talking 30, 40 million people. And not even from a war. Maybe 100, maybe 200 million. And not even from a war. Because quite honestly, if he gets rid of Medicare, or they privatize it, gets rid of the Obamacare, affordable health care, or privatizes it, Social Security, we're looking at a disaster of almost biblical proportions. And quite honestly, one good thing would come out of it for those of us that survive. It would be the absolute death now to the Republican Party. I promise you that. As a matter of fact, let me make a prediction. If they repeal Social Security, Obamacare, start making it illegal for women to get abortions, and Medicare, we will have a revolution. Now, I pray it's peaceful, ethical, legal, and financial. But let me put it to you this way. If somebody came into your house and stole all of your money, took all of your prescription medicine or your family's prescription medicine, what would you do? I know what I would do. What would you do? Like I said, I want our revolution to be legal, ethical, peaceful, and financial. But take away those programs that have been around for at least 70 years. I'm talking about Social Security and Medicare. Take those away. There won't be a Republican left in office. Oh, no, don't get me wrong. Their terms won't have expired. I didn't say that. I said legally and peacefully, there won't be a Republican left in office. If they do that, guess what? The blue dog Democrats, or any Democrat, anybody that votes to do this, I don't care what you have as your party or independent. I don't care if you call yourself Mickey Potatoes or Mickey Numbnuts. You do that to the seniors, to the disabled, to the women, to the veterans, please, you will legally, peacefully be taken out of that office. What do I really think is going to go on during the Trump presidency? Well, I think the most conservative Republican, white male, educated and uneducated, black male, educated and uneducated, woman, educated and uneducated, and anyone under $300,000, I think we're legally, peacefully going to unite. That's what I think is going to happen. I think the ones that called me a mother are going to be my new best friends. You see, because here's the thing. You want the truth? I know you can't handle it. The truth is, you may have yourself called a Republican, a conservative, a libertarian, Green Party, Democrat, progressive. You can call yourself whatever you want. Because the DC, for the most part, you're their paycheck, you're their servant, and you're their suckers. And yes, you are their slaves. I and you are their slaves. I don't care if they got a D, a C, a R, a B, an I. Most of them. You're just a clown that was fooled by their scams. Now, that being said, there are people in that Congress that if they will take and get the courage to believe and fight for what they believe in, and they actually are willing to risk political suicide or stand up no matter how impossible the odds, I promise you that man or woman will most likely be our next president. I don't care if there's an R, an I, or D. For example, Representative John Lewis says Trump's not legitimate. He doesn't believe he is. And quite honestly, I stand, sit, or, whatever you want to say, I stand up and agree with Representative John Lewis. 100%. But then again, I don't think any president that gets in solely by the Electoral College is legitimate. I would argue it should be unconstitutional. Everybody says, well, our founding fathers did this. Yeah, our founding fathers allowed African Americans to be killed and enslaved. Our founding fathers allowed Native Americans to be killed or whatever. Our founding fathers did a whole lot of bad stuff. Our founding fathers didn't even let women vote. Our founding fathers had a lot of greatness in them. Have also had a lot of mistakes. Oh, and here's the newsflash. Some of our founding fathers said the Constitution should be rewritten every 20 years. So we're way past overdue, brothers and sisters. Way past that. My final conclusions on the Trump presidency. I predict every Republican that voted for him, unless they're super wealthy, pretty much everybody will regret it for the rest of their life. Now, that's not being partisan. I didn't feel that way, even under President Bush II. You know, George W. Bush didn't feel that way. Didn't agree with policy, but did not feel that way. And I never, under any president, felt that way. Never. But this man, I'll leave it at that. In fact, I pray for all of us, including Donald Trump. Because deep down, I don't hate the guy. I hate his policies. I hate his arrogance and his actions and his racism, the things he said. I don't hate him. He's an asswipe. And I don't really hate him. I hate his actions. But the problem is, he has his finger. He will tomorrow have his fingers on the nuclear codes. Scary. Very scary.